Okay, so it is Tuesday. Hopefully you guys turned in your homework from last night. If I don't have your syllabi at this point, I need it now. Right now, my grade book shows that it is missing. Get that into me so that it does not show as more than missing, okay? All right, lesson 1-3 is on variables and expressions. So we know that a variable is a letter that represents some quantity. That quantity can be anything from negative infinity to positive infinity. Variables are written in lowercase cursive letters. I do not want to see variables written in uppercase letters. I don't want to see them printed. If you don't know how to write a cursive letter, or if you don't know how to write in cursive the letter that you have for your assignment, choose a variable that you know how to write in cursive. The most common variables are X, Y, Z, M, and N. If you don't know how to write those in cursive, pick a different one. I do not care. Okay? X and Y, you will need to know as X and as Y by the time that you take Algebra 1. Okay, so make sure that you know those at some point. To make a cursive letter X, you make a squiggly line and you cross through it. That's the easiest one. All right? They have to be lowercase, they have to be cursive. The reason why uppercase cursive letters represent a smaller problem, so usually it represents a formula. Let's say that we're looking for the volume formula or the area formula for some shape. We use capital letters at that point. We use printed letters when we are talking about points and lines in geometry. So we can't just intermix them because we're in chapter 1 and not in chapter 12. Don't go look at chapter 12 and tell me that I was wrong. I just put a random chapter out of the air, okay? But you get my point. We have to be diligent and attentive to the way that we write things. Variables are single letters, okay? We have M here, we have Y there. Those are variables. We have two expressions present, 5m plus 6 and y over 3. Those are expressions. An expression is a mathematical sentence that does not include an equal sign. We simplify expressions. We do not solve them because there is nothing to solve. Based on this, I can't tell you what m is equal to. I can't tell you what y is equal to. It is an expression, not an equation. This 5n, this is the same as saying m plus m plus m plus m plus m plus 6. If I take m plus m plus m plus m plus m, that's also the same as saying 5 times m plus 6. But instead of writing it with the multiplication sign, or writing it all out like that, we just say 5m. Y, and then we have this lovely fraction bar, and I know we don't like fractions, but that's okay. We're going to get through it. Over 3. This is the same as saying y divided by 3. So we said last week that we didn't have fractions. A fraction does not represent a part of a whole. Okay? Yes, this looks like a fraction, but we're using it as a form to write a division problem. And that's the way that we need to start looking at these. A fraction is the form that we write something in. Because we're not looking at 3 out of 4 where we can take our pizza. Okay? We can't take y pieces, out of 3 pieces of pizza. We can't do that. We don't know what y is equal to. So instead we're going to look at it as a form that means to divide. And if we have a number in front of a variable, we call that number a coefficient, and it means to multiply, or that we have that many of that variable. Okay? All right. So we're going to be doing a little bit of this. The other thing that you guys are going to see in this lesson, we're going to start solving a couple equations. Okay? Now, an equation is an expression with an equal sign. So as soon as that equal sign is there, we can call it an equation. We can solve for that variable. We will be able to figure out what that variable is equal to. If you go back and look in your book, I'm looking at, let's do example 3, part B on page 15. That says S times T divided by 20. We're going to evaluate the expression, and it says at the top of the directions that S is equal to 5 and T is equal to 8. So we're going to we're going to substitute our variable with the value that our problem gave us. And it tells us that S is equal to 5 times T, which is 8, and that's divided by 20. Now, there's two ways that we can solve this. Guys, I'm going to show you the easy way, because I like to do things the easy way. Okay. Option 1, we simplify our numerator and we divide. 5 times 8 is 40. Keep our denominator of 20. Now we need to simplify. Guys, I already know one that I have an improper fraction, so I can divide. Or I know that I have 2 zeros here. Those zeros cancel each other out. It's like we divided both by 10. So now we have 4 over 2. Guys, we can do that in our head. 2 goes into 4 2 times. So we have 2 whole as our answer. Okay? The other way that we could do this, we could say 5 over 20 times 8 over 20. Okay? 5 times 8 is 40. Divided by our denominator, 20, and that still equals 2. All right? So, I'm going to recommend that we do it this way. It's easier and it shows all of your work. Okay? The other way is still possible. The book shows you how to write it out like this. We can also do it this way. I don't love this form, but we can do this form. So, or as a second part, parentheses, 5 times 8 divided by 20. Where again, we take the 5 times the 8 and we get 40. Divided by 20, and that still equals 2. The reason why I prefer this method is because, yeah, right now we have 2 variables and they're pretty simple. But what happens when instead we're given this problem? Okay? When we're given something like this, it's a lot easier to work out this way. Okay? So, you still have to follow your order of operations. You still have to show all of your work. You have problems that you need to work through. If you're not sure what a variable represents, go and look at that part in the directions at the top, because the directions tell you, okay? The directions tell you just have to look with your eyes. I promise you can do it, all right? And I will see you guys tomorrow via video. Have a fantastic night. Be good. I love you. Get to work.